Good morning, everybody. Today is April 28th, and it's time for Protecting the Nest. Good morning, ladies.
Good
Hi, good morning.
morning.
Hi,
Hey,
everybody.
everybody.
Is it
Happy
still raining there in
Friday.
Portland?
It's beautiful. The weather yesterday made a huge shift, and today is supposed to be like close to 80 degrees. And I I I missed the broadcast yesterday because I was out gardening. Finally, the rain stopped. The skies are pure blue, and it is glorious.
I know
Are
it's
you-
such a birthing time. Spring is so amazing when the leaves pop out on the trees. It's just like everything happens so fast. You forget that things are happening at a certain pace internally.
Yeah, and people feel it. All the people yesterday that I saw, they like had short shorts or the bikinis, and they were flopped on the ground, and they wanted to get some sunlight after all these months of pouring rain and squishy, mucky ground. It was time to ground. It was time to catch the vitamin D directly, and their bodies just craved it. You can just see it's so fun to watch.
You can actually see moods lift on
Mm-hmm.
the first really sunny day and
Yep.
people walking around. You'll see someone a week earlier and they've kind of got a gruff face. They're in a hurry. Their posture's really bad, or like they're leaning forward to walk. They're going, from one thing to another in some kind of like haze. And then when the
Mm-hmm.
sun comes out, it's like, the
Yeah,
hills are alive with the sound of music, twisting
that's
around in
so true.
circles, and then everyone's smiling, and it's
Mm-hmm.
refreshing.
Yeah, it is
Who
a
knew the
wonderful
sun
thing.
did so much for us?
Yeah, and we have like 4 months of solid rain, and this has been a really rainy winter, so it's like just so welcome.
Perfect for kids in galoshes.
Yeah, we had a lot of the galoshes walks, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
nice to
just
have bare
just
feet.
stomping around in puddles. Everyone's muddy. It's great.
Hmm.
A lot of galosh action. Yeah,
Yep.
sometimes it's just like the spring and this actually the spring, the summer, and the fall are so incredible that it like makes you it's like a vacation. Like you forget how
Hmm.
short it is because it's like so deep and like healing.
Yeah. Yep, we're ready.
I
We're ready.
think
All our blue
I
skin
what
needs
I've
some.
noticed in all us humans is that when it's summer, we're like, oh my God, it's so hot. When it's fall, it's like, God, fall goes so fast and then it's winter. So the whole time we're not wanting fall to hurry, but it's hurrying. And so we're
Mm,
cramming everything in. And when you cram things in, time goes so fast. Then all of a sudden it's winter. And it's like, okay, there's the holidays. And afterwards, you're like, oh my God, when's winter going to be over? It's so cold. I'm so tired of it. And then spring comes. It's like, oh, great. Oh, pollen, spring weeds. I can't wait till summer. So it's so funny how humans are. And
mhm.
I do that. And then I catch myself going, hey, Amber, could you just enjoy today? And I'm like, oh, yeah, but it's really hot today. I mean, and so I try, but I think it's just normal. We've probably been doing this since the beginning. Like
Mhm.
literally, well, what's it going to be like tomorrow, Flo? Well, it's going to be a little bit chilly.
Well, everybody has their favorite seasons too that they look forward to
Fall.
and then
Fall.
complain about.
Summer.
I love
Mine,
the spring, but once the sun comes
the fall is like, it's when all the energy goes into the roots of the plants.
in. Hmm.
And so for me, fall is a renewing of your energy for the whole next year, where everything is like dormant at the top so that you can regroup. It's also harvest. So for all your hard work, you're bringing it in and then you're giving thanks. And for some reason, it's nostalgic. It reminds me of like so many family memories because in the summer, some parents are working, kids are just outside, but family memories are like, right after Halloween into Thanksgiving. There's lots of family time, lots of neighborhood adventures where everyone's involved rather than just the kids playing or they're with a nanny or they're with the grandparents. It's actually like a bonding time. It's my favorite nostalgic time. Spring is my favorite because, oh my gosh, here we go. It's time to plant. It's time to grow. Like you want to turn on good music and just shuffle around and can't wait till summer. But nostalgia wise and memory wise, it's always fall for me.
Well, I think seasons really hold on to that nostalgic feeling so much. And I was just looking out into the woods a little bit earlier, and I just was thinking, because our time that we're living through is so important, and historical times are so important, but that's when you lock in and you're like, this isn't just the spring of 2023. This is every spring that's ever been, and we feel that, and we feel it so deeply. I think I told you before, I have a friend who is from Malaysia, and it's very close to the equator, and they don't have seasons. They don't have words for seasons. I'm like, how do you like you say that time that we're like, oh, here we go in this phase. I'm like, I imagine that time just must go like on this like endless feeling or something. Like, I can only imagine. I really don't know.
Yeah. I think when you have seasons, you're a little more easily traumatized with outrageous events because the season represents a whole way of living. Like you change the way you're living. Like windows are up or windows are down, air is on, heat is off. You either run to the car to get in because it's cold, or you sit outside, you go on vacation, or you hunker down. So it's your whole existence is hinged on like, what is the season representing? What are you wearing? The price of groceries. Are apples, really expensive right now? Or are they cheap because, they're in season? So these are the things that are like, it affects me when you're in the middle of a season or a way that you're living and some outside event happens. And it's just like, it comes in on you because you're in this, 4 seasons. Here you go into another mode. And it just like, you kind of go into zombie, like freeze style, like what's going on? What do I need to do? And you have to reframe
about
it.
Emergencies.
Yeah, I'm talking about just like people rioting, political upheavals, anything that could be traumatizing to a public that has a tender heart. So if you're someone who you don't want to watch pain and suffering, you don't want to watch innocent people, get in a situation where they were clueless as to what's going on. And then all of a sudden you're in this season and you're just ripped out of that way of thinking into this trauma. And so for people who can feel like other people suffering, you have to actually have discernment as to, is this something that I need to hone in on, or is this something in which I concentrated on my family? You have to either push it away because it's something that happens naturally. It's the way things go and they hammer themselves out, or it's something inorganic that's being purposely perpetrated that you have to fight against. So there's that internal battle immediately if you have deep feelings about people, and your main center is to love and to help and to nurture. So if that's you, like, it just slams you. And I think more people actually are that way than not. And so if you don't know that, you just get traumatized. But if you know, it's because you feel it and it's because you're intended to, and you're supposed to solve the problem within yourself. Do you cater to your family, or do you more so look outwardly and help? Like, people who know that's how they were made to be, they don't get as traumatized. They get angry, they get frustrated, they get, oh, this is not okay. And then that builds their fighting instinct. Let's go, let's fix this. But other people who aren't aware that they're feeling this way because their heart is breaking for so many people they don't know, then they're just traumatized and they're sad. They have no idea what's going on. They might turn to pills or porn or anything that's literally going to numb them out so they don't have to face reality. And that is really difficult because you want that army of people who want love to reign. You want them to be like on steady ground, but most people don't know that that's their job. They just think that they're sad. And it's like, no, that you're supposed to feel that because you're supposed to then get your fighting instinct and like come on, let's go. Let's stop this. Let's push back against darkness, heaviness, evil, wrongdoing, unjust behavior. And let's step forward with our strength. And so it's like you have to gather that army of people who have no idea that they were even part of a love army at all. And that is like, oh, and you're exhausted. But then, it's a whole circle of just so much. And so
your
it's so
favorite
debilitating.
season of the fall seems to be when a lot of the traumas have been happening. So it interrupts your favorite season. And that's probably even harder on your heart.
Well, mostly
you're describing.
So I learned long ago that I am this way. And I was fine with it. What is heartbreaking is to see someone who is that way and they don't know it. And then they conform to something that is not really them. And so they have an internal battle and you can't really tell them because they have to find it themselves. And sometimes they're so in the dark that you can't really show them by example because they can't see you. And so that's the thing is like, you don't want all of society breaking down around you. Like, if you know that if they break down, you're going to have it more difficult, that's stressful, but it's not so much about how you're feeling as to, oh my gosh, look what's happening. You got to figure out how to linguistically say this and how to say this and how to approach this person. So you're exhausted by halfway through the day if you're around a lot of people. And then you have to go home and process it all and then say, well, that didn't work and that didn't work. And then you feel like, am I manipulating people because I'm trying to come up to them and talk to them in order to pull them out of their sadness so that then they're happy? Like, should I just step back and allow them to find? And a lot of questions like, I don't want to impede someone and I don't want to come off as not genuine. I'm trying to help, but this pushiness of like, here, let me shepherd you is crazy because you're not the end all be all of knowing all the answers. So you've got to balance that with like, do I step in? Do I not? And that's a lot of like exhaustion just thinking about your
and part of what we're getting or I'm noticing from my friends is a pushback. You believe that, I don't want to talk about it. So I don't mind changing the subject and pretending this isn't happening, but it hurts. It hurts to be
because you see them hurting and that they need to get it out because it can
don't
fester.
Understand.
No, it can cause cortisol issues. You can have things going on inside. You've got to throw that stuff up. Just let it all out. Let it all out with close friends. Tell them what you do agree, what you don't agree, what makes you afraid. Most of the time, someone's not going to agree with you because they're afraid.
Yes,
to hear
bingo.
you.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're afraid.
Fear.
And so it's hard. What do you say?
I found that too, because it's like, it's either, fear is a huge part of it because it's the reason, there are plenty of information that people can just easily get it wrong, right? But it's like, why the willful ignorance, and at what point is it willful ignorance and at what point is it not? And it's like, I think if people harbor a lot of fear or they're caused into a lot of fear, then more despondentness is one of the choices that they see,
Yeah, I think
instead of that fighting thing.
The willful ignorance isn't always willful. I think this idea of being mesmerized by repeating the lies over and over, and people actually accept that and feel like it's true, and they don't understand why they're feeling so weird about it, and it's hard to pierce through these thick veils.
Well, if we think about it, when people love really deeply, they can't imagine that there would be people out there that would lie so frivolously and so furiously
and so on purpose,
right? That they would repeat it to an incessant amount in order to brainwash, because in their mind they could never do that to anybody. So it's not even valid that anybody would ever think that anyone would do it. And if you try to tell them about the book propaganda, they're like, yes, there's a lot of science that we don't understand. And thank goodness that we're not having to deal with those same experiments. And those people who did those particular things, they got in trouble for it and it's looked down upon and we've learned from it. And I'm like, no, we haven't.
Here we are again.
Here we are. And you have been so convinced that you're so convinced that it's gone that it's captured everything about you. And you know, that's really hard because there's so many people who could do so many great things with the love that they have, but they've got like this bubble around them that's been
Well,
purposely
that's
placed
one of the
there.
reasons they want people to be too distracted and upset with each other to be able to work together to really make things happen.
Yep.
I think it's a protective bubble, or they see it as a protective bubble, that they have to keep it up there because there's all of these dangerous elements out there trying to get them. And they've been hearing about this, you know, people are all crazy and they're Russian bots and they're whatever, you know. So there's all this bad stuff you have to protect yourself about. So you protect yourself against your friends and your family and people that do care. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
a challenge.
there's a quote from David Icke. He once said, if you think they would never do this, you would never do this. They do it every day.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the point, is that people that it's not in their heart to do it, they can't fathom. And I think that's why there's so many in every religion and in every, like, just science, there's this be wise as a serpent but gentle as a lamb kind of idea. So you have to understand how chaos reigns and how darkness actually can capture you, and that you have to be smart enough to understand its moves, its plays, its ways, in order to silently observe, know when to strike, when it's necessary. But you have to be a lamb in your behavior in order to not be what it is that's causing the chaos yourself, you know. So it's like, and there's all these old wise tales that explain this, and I think people haven't really got to know what the serpent is capable of. Like, what does that mean? Well, you have to know what those who don't care about your life, your longevity, your health, and your well-being, that will exploit, manipulate, and do whatever they can in order to gain control, dominance, that they themselves are hoping that you will never ever think that they would ever be capable of doing so. So they have to take every measure to convince you that
many
there's no serpent here.
I think are minions, you know, and they're traumatized and they're doing it to protect themselves. You know, they have one thing they have to do. They have to get this message across, or they're going to be hurt, or their family's going to be hurt, or whatever. Or they'll lose all their money and things they love, or addictions, or, you know, whatever's traumatized and manipulated them will come down hard. So they don't want to go there. There's too much pain. So there's, you know, it's not even what they want to do.
Yeah, and I always think that, you know, people that are used to just doing what they're told, if the master switches, they're just going to continue to do what they're told. So it's not like those aren't I mean, they're dangerous because they're working on the minions for the wrong side, but it's like a lot of the people that can, you know, find a path of forgiveness are just those people, you know, because we know the ones in the level of manipulation that's just, you know, maybe they're housing demons or whatever it is, you know. And something strange, not strange, but you know how, like, the detective work is the physical that we can prove, you know, the philosophy is the spiritual and some of the things that we talk about and discuss, that's like to each his own, you know. But there is that metaphysics, and Carol, you're super good at kind of doing detective work on this metaphysics. And you know, throughout all of this journey, we do have to keep an open mind, you know. So to me, the caution goes to the spiritual, goes, like, the protectiveness goes wherever you know, whatever you think a threat can be, even if you know, you're not really sure. One of my treks to Washington DC, my first trek before we were all down there, we were gonna go, me and my friend Jay, who some of you guys met, we were gonna go to check out Comet Pizza, and like, it was kind of, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning, something, 2 o'clock in the morning. We stopped by. Like I could only glance at it out of the corner of my eye. Like we did go around back and like never check it out, but it's like for some reason, you know how eyes are the window to the soul, and I'm like, I'm not letting anything like demonic or some kind of creep show. What if the eye is an entryway to like something getting in there or something,
Yeah,
So
I actually, Tara, I have 2 videos that show like what in this is just my opinion. When we're thinking about demons, what is it that we're seeing today? And so I've got a really tiny. These are both like little shorts. One is on parasites, and the other one is living in Philly, and how drugged up people are, and what that actually looks like when it plays out, and the fact that our government would allow this. There's still eugenists. There's still literally Nazis that want to watch and see how many types of drugs can go in somebody as they watch, laugh, and giggle. I mean, these are demented people. This is not normal. This is not shepherding. This is not guidance. This is total damnation and destruction, and taking pleasure out of people's issues and addictions. And it's very embarrassing. And, I am a witness. So everything that I see, whenever I'm gone and my time is done here on earth, I witnessed it, and I can reveal it to the things that are waiting for all the witnesses to say, this is what I saw. So good luck, guys, who are doing this. You've got plenty of witnesses that, can give a full story in detail, 100% about what they saw, your lack of empathy, your lack of caring. You're setting up for destruction and disaster purposely. And, that's something you're going to have to answer to. That's not my problem. That's yours.
Well, we're on the same wavelength again, Amber, because one of my little 2-minute videos is a deep dive into BlackRock, and that's a demon.
Yeah, I had BlackRock on my list too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I just want to add one little thing that's I'm going to pop it in there. I just heard this Canadian Rebel News, and I was busy, so I didn't like write down the names or screenshot it or whatever, but she was saying that there was a woman who took it upon herself to look into the vaccine status of moms whose infants had died, and they were trying to come at her for doing this, saying this was outside of her scope, blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry, I don't have the names right now. But the horrific thing I wanted to mention is, in passing, I don't know if they were saying it was an agency or a government thing or whatever, these poor people in Canada, they have I don't know if they want to set it up or they did set it up, something that someone assists people shooting up. They come and shoot you up. They assist you. It's like, it's exactly what you're just thinking about.
They're trying to kill people.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally, imagine my kid comes home and says, Mom, I tried crack. And I'm like, okay, son, let me go buy you some more. Why wouldn't I go, oh, no. Let's detox. Who were you hanging out with? We're not hanging out with that person anymore. What happened? What made you feel like, why in the world would someone say, I love you. Here's more of the thing that's going to kill you. And it's going to kill you really fast. Like that, after they've made living so difficult in some of these places that people lost their houses. So not only did they shut the whole country down, then you had some cities like Philly and these others and San Fran, you couldn't work. You weren't important enough. Then you had the elite saying, oh, well, these people can work. You can't. Then they say, oh, you don't have to worry about rent. Then out of the blue, after many months not working, oh, by the way, you need to start paying now. You probably don't have a job. Your job probably went away. But now we need this month's rent. And if you don't pay, you're evicted. And then not only was it too expensive to begin with, and they don't have a job, but since they were home and they were traumatized, they started drinking. They started hanging out with people and like trying to make the best out of being locked down. And then because of vulnerabilities and because of trauma and because of depression, they find themselves on the side of the street, drugged out with no home. And this is our government. Screw you.
But then there's more, Amber. Then the government comes in and builds them a little teeny house with no bathroom or anything in a big lot with a whole bunch of other ones. And nobody knocks on the door until they're dead.
Right. I mean, this is like I can't.
That's helping.
Oh, but see,
Well,
this
let's
is
start
how.
with this video.
Oh,
Let's start with the video of life, quote unquote, life in Philly, and work our way backwards. Let me know if you can hear it.
Not yet.
I can't hear it. No sound.
there's a volume button when you click up.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I have to share it again.
It's on the bottom, I think. To the right of the play button. It might not have sound.
I think this is the only one that I didn't get the sound on. But you can see.
It might not have sound.
It was just a dark background. And we cannot ignore it.
I saw my first trunk person when on my trip to Seattle, and the way back, trying to find a bathroom in the gas station. Everyone was shooting up. I couldn't get in. And then I finally found one in Starbucks and came out, and there was somebody bent over like that, completely bent in half, not moving, on Trank. It's called Trank, and it's a horse tranquilizer. That's what you're seeing.
And the major problem we face is that Americans never see it because they leave their house, they go to work, they come back, they never see
Go
it.
on your path. Yeah. It's really, this is the zombification that we've been hearing about for years and years.
It's like a 10 to 12 block radius, this stuff.
I think every big city has their own place like this, but it's also where I was, in the middle of a little teeny town on the highway. It's there too.
It's there, and it could happen to any one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they would like it to spread, you know. That's one of the reasons of ignoring it and pretending like it doesn't exist. Just like the summer of 2020, you know. People are like, "Whoa, who? Like who? Burning
That's
cities?
just an idea.
What?
That's not an organization. They only have a website, and when they say strike, they all strike at once in all the states at the same time. But there's no organization. What are you talking about?
Well, we have enough people that have enough footage and enough people were there that, you know, the way that history is going to be told by many, many voices, many witnesses, many whistleblowers. I heard this year is the year of the whistleblower, and I do feel that as far as what seems to be going on out there. You know, some of the whistleblowers that even were just like, say, on Project Veritas, and now they're actually putting their testimony into record through the hearings and everything. And when you were mentioning about the fall too, it is in cycles. I've heard that this this isn't my arena, so probably I'm not listening to a lot of people, but someone that I feel is good, that financially what they're trying to accomplish, you know, we all can talk about what that is, that needs to happen during a fall. And so the falls that we've had previously maybe we're going to be the fall, but the pieces weren't right yet. So seeming like this is our year, our you know, I meant, what can I say? We don't know where it's going, but it is springtime, and we talk about, you know, what the harvest. We got to plan that harvest now, and so.
And did you know this Philly thing in San Fran? They actually have a San Francisco poop map where they know where to go and clean it up, and it's an action live. People will call, and say, hey, there's feces, human feces, and then they have a poop brigade who goes out. And so they have a live action poop mat. I mean, at some point, when do people get embarrassed if they're in leadership? When do they say, I think we're failing, mister? Oopsie, oopsie, oopsie. Like at some point, they're going to have to say, we look like jackasses. And they're going to have to stop. I mean, if that was my leadership and it was that much of a crap show, why would I ever show my face? Why would I would run and hide and give up my position and say, I don't know what I'm doing. These people will boldly go to another country and say, oh yeah, America's great for this. You can't even offer a bathroom for people that you got addicted by not protecting our borders, you jackass. Like, this is disgusting. 100% a poop map.
But when those people get paid off, they're getting the big money. So what do they care about? These these people, if they are convinced, oh, you're part of this special class of people, here's your money, oh, you're so this and that. Because it's like you're saying, anybody with a decent heart and soul is not, and it's like, how did we get this far?
Right. Yeah, it's just like piracy of the olden days. You just take, and it's okay. And the people on the take become the rulers.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't be called leaders. They should be called exploiters. Right? So we should label things exactly as they are, not what we hope they were or we wish they would be, or in our dreamland of society. Oh, those are leaders. Well, A, they're not leading. B, they suck. And C, they're exploiting. So wouldn't the definition of what they're doing be exploiters, not leaders? Or someone who's compromised. Oh, so you were a dipwad and you got compromised. Oh, why wouldn't you just step down? Oh, because then no matter what, you get blackmailed. Wow. We should probably find the blackmailers. Huh? Yeah, that's what we should do.
Well, Dave Underdown would love it because they keep mentioning to Eric Swalwell in these hearings, they keep mentioning like Fang Fang and Yum Yum and like all this stuff. And he's like, strike that word. You can't say this shit, whatever. And it's like, it's just cracks me up because I'm like, oh, Dave Underdown has been doing little Fang Fang puns for a while.
John, can you play the parasites one? Because that's another.
Yeah, let's do that.
Makes me think about possession. So we saw what it looks like when we have drugs in our body. But then we have these things that have been in us forever and learn how to manipulate all kinds of animals and insects and fish. Like once you have a parasite, that parasite can cause you to do something that'll lead to your death. It can cause you to do something that you otherwise wouldn't do because it wants to survive. So you might want to have a clean diet, but if you're full of parasites, the parasites are like, no, you need to go get another candy bar right now.
Can't hear it.
Okay.
No, that's like some
feedback.
Feedback.
Videos never seem to work out for us.
Yeah, he's even using the server this time and still don't have sound.
We're a new technology. We're learning.
Well.
But yeah, pretty much that is the nature of the beast that we are fighting. It's a parasitic thing. And we want a symbiotic nature with all the beings on Earth. We, and the spiritual realms around us. We want symbioticness. If you are a parasite, you're going down, and it's like, we know that they've been around, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to recognize them, learn the tools to fight them, and how to not let them.
Well, we need a parasite cleanse for BlackRock. So
yeah,
this
exactly.
This leads right into the biggest parasites of them all.
Exactly.
But without sound, it will be a challenge, I think.
We have the vibrations Even if you're deaf, you feel the vibrations.
Yeah.
The healing.
One, the BlackRock video is on Twitter, so maybe the sound will work better, but you still have to click the little
I
thing.
wonder if we picked the same one. That would be amazing.
This is like a little cartoon story of how it grew and how big it is.
Yeah, mine is the same. I don't know if it's cartoon, so it might be.
It's an animation of
That's awesome.
how it grew and grew and grew.
We are on the same page.
Yeah, we are on the same page. As usual, from across the country.
Yeah, Tara always comes in with something. You always come in with something. I'm like, okay, we didn't talk. And how are we like literally in the same arena of flow right here? That's what's amazing about life.
Wavelength.
Yeah, and that's what's amazing about life, because that's what it seems like they need to diminish in order to sever connections. So they need to diminish your attachment to other people so you can't symbiotically work together in the best interest of survival. Right. So, I think that's what they're trying to attack. And thank goodness they haven't been able to break.
I think the sound is off. The sound, I see some X's there. I don't know. We'll try it.
Like they don't want us to have time, resources, communication, which we will have and continue to have and prosper and grow and teach our children and our grandchildren and learn from all this in our folklore. I can't hear it.
Yeah, we can't hear it. Maybe when you recorded it on the server, the volume wasn't recorded.
Well, this one, at least you can kind of see what's happening over time. It gives you the year and what's going into BlackRock each decade or year.
And so when we say BlackRock and Vanguard, did Vanguard, were they separate and then they joined, do you know? Or was it just an extension of BlackRock?
I think they each own a whole lot of each other. I don't know that they're officially the same company, but they each, some of their major holdings are of each other. So that's how they're similar. But you could play that video because it does work as a visual. And it shows how, then the pensions and then the international stuff and a lot of the stuff that we can't see behind the scenes, how they expanded and expanded and expanded until they're...
Oh, yeah. Mine is different because mine is, it shows how Fox, Vanguard, BlackRock, and all the major companies own stock in one another and how they sit at the board. So they can make a decision. So when they sue each other, it's kind of silly because it's just a money exchange. And I think it's in order to save taxes or to be able to push tax deductions and money laundering while making a political statement that says we can't actually talk about these voting machines anymore because we were sued, even though two of the entities that sued each other were connected to BlackRock and Vanguard. That's super interesting.
Yeah. Well, just let it keep playing because, now they were at 6 trillion. Now they're at 20 trillion. Now they're going into Europe. Energy, oil and gas, transportation, food, finance, real estate. Oh, here's the regulatory agencies.
They have a rock face.
The hen houses. These are the foxes, I guess.
I love their rock face.
Yeah. Bank loan portfolios. Any conflicts here? Here's the auditors. The investors owning the auditors. Imagine that.
Easiest way to take out your opponent and to take out those that are trying to buy a property or specifically do something and you want their stuff, well, you would just stick some auditors on them and make life difficult where then you can overpower and then get what you want. I mean, that is absolute conflict conflict of interest. It should be absolutely illegal. Our SEC should be stepping in. And what the hell are they doing? Are they compromised as well? How many times are we going to deal with people who aren't addressing conflicts of interest, monopolies, and say, oh, no, nothing to see here? Like, okay, I believe in big business,
it looks
but I don't believe in that.
It looks like they're financing, all these NGOs and foundations, and that these are good things that are run by 503c, but it's all benefiting them again. The same investments, it's the same cycle, the regulators.
But its conflict of interest is, yeah, we bond together, we own most of everything, and we can shut you up, we can censor you, we can take away your constitutional rights, we can mandate things, we can look past destruction if it's a philosophy we want to push, and then we can overburden and over-prosecute something that we don't politically align with. Then we can make you feel unstable. The threat of us looming is going to be very domineering. And then we're going to run agencies like your IRS and your SEC and your CDC and the FDA. And then we're going to say,
elections.
And then we're going to mock you and say, well, Americans are fat and stupid. Oh, you mean because you're putting GMOs and chemicals and all your waste products in our food that no other country allows in their country? And because you want to get rid of your waste products, you don't want to have to pay to actually get rid of them properly. You want to put dollops in our creams and our hair shampoos in the ground, in our water supply, in our food. And then you want to explain it away when people start to lose IQ. Screw you. It's a conflict of interest. They're money whores, and they give capitalism a really bad name.
But they're not even capitalists, though. They're
not.
They're monopolists.
They're corporate.
Yes.
They're monopolists. They're corporatists. They secretly sabotage real capitalists.
Well, yeah, because the monopoly includes the government.
Yes,
but it's the regulatory agencies.
Right, but the problem is people don't see them as corporatists. They look at it like, see, this is what, and then they're stirring up the Marxists who are going, oh, this is why capitalism is so horrible. No, it's not capitalism. Like me and my husband going out and doing landscaping, that's like we have a business. Like that's capitalism. Someone, mom and pop who owns a store, a laundromat, a gas station. Like these are things where people go in, they work, they have employees, they make money. That's capitalism. That's not the government doing it all. And we all get a certain amount on a check and we stand in a bread line and we're all equal. Like they're pushing for that, which we can't even trust the government, who won't regulate monopolists and corporatists while they're taking over everything and allowing them to have input into our lives to take away our constitutional rights. Like, do your job, government, and people won't say that they want to get rid of the government. My God, it's 2 + 2 is 4, people.
Well, we do need to trim it down quite a bit. And,
John, there's a mute.
I just want to say real quick, there's a trickle. Oh, it's not your voice quite. It sounds weird.
There is no capitalism where only 3% of the population has access to capital. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. And if people are, do work it so that they get to have their own gas station, general store, landscaping company, whatever, that's another thing, a trickle down thing that the controllers don't like, is because then you get to sub out your tools and all your stuff to whoever you want, to whatever companies you want. Like like a general store, you get to choose any products you want. You want it to be healthy, they're as healthy as you want. If you have some, big central whatever, you're buying what they bought and that's it. And nobody has any choices. And it's just, you'll take the slop you're given.
Yeah, I think they're capitalist / fascist communists. I think they want government on their side, so they work and own the government. And then on top of that, they're monopolists and corporatists hidden behind the idea of capitalism, in which they want people to not have choice like you don't have in a communist society. So that's the grotesque thing, is that they're dabbling in every kind of ism as they're having us infight on what's the best ism, as they utilize each one in order to benefit themselves. And then everybody goes at it because they can use examples on every side. How, well, capitalism does this and corporatism does that and communism does this. And it's all true. And they're exploiting it and they run all of it. And then they convince us that we're bad because we're not doing good and we need to do better. So we seek them like to be pleased by us as if they're God. Like, hey, you've got to warm up to us and you've got to prove yourself to us. Hell no, I don't have to prove myself to a human. Who the hell do you think you are? You are not God. I do not have to worship at your feet or wish that you like me. You are mentally unstable, and apparently you didn't get enough attention as a child. You are mentally incapable of allowing people choice and for them to have their own ideas and system, and you're an oppressor. You are the oppressor you say you're fighting, you jackass.
That's what's really sick, Amber, is that when Bill Gates comes on campus to an Ivy League campus, he is literally worshipped. Literally worshipped. Well, he doesn't come on the past 3 years. For some reason, the past 3 years, he hasn't come on campus very much. But
because he's got man boobs now. And since he has man boobs and he needs a bra, they haven't come up with the bro instead of a bra. So until he gets the bro, he doesn't want to be seen in public, I'm sure.
That's probably
Thank you
why.
for feeding us. I'm sure you're the epitome of health, Mr. Gates.
Well, maybe he eats bugs. I hope he does.
They have probably a lot more than that.
Bugs have parasites. I'm just saying.
They're not too digestible.
Nasty people. Nasty. And you know what? It's like, why? Because it's like, oh, we need to honor this person because they learned to exploit the system so good. And that's where those in-between minions come, is that people that just have this power hungry blindness that puts them in the wrong position. And then they're the people that are kind of giving capitalism a bad name because they're like, out making a whatever name for themselves, but they're really just licking the boots.
It seems like the system chooses the winners. And those people get the opportunities. You can kind of see that how, there were other options for computer systems, but Bill Gates kept getting everything. And then that expanded to food, medicine. He just, it all comes to him and a handful of a few other people that own almost everything. Yeah, it's
true. And so I'll go over the videos that I have, and then you ladies let me know what you would want John to play if he's able to play it. So one is about parasites. The other one is BlackRock. It's similar to what Carol said. It just looks at it from the angle of who's invested in who. And then there's issues in Sudan. And then there's the UN article where they're pushing that pedophilia not be prosecuted and that there shouldn't be an age limit. And then there's a video about a woman growing another uterus after her hysterectomy because of the gene therapy. And then there's one about Soros.
That's really interesting. Are you talking about gene therapy, meaning the COVID shots?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, I had not heard that.
And there's a lot of people that have been experiencing this, and there's a whole thing on women sharing these things where they went in, they got a complete hysterectomy, and then when they go back, they think it's cancer because it's a mass, and they're assuming they have no uterus, and then they find out they have a uterus again.
Wow.
So wait, what are they seeing?
So it looks like a mass. They start to bleed again. They shouldn't be bleeding, and they're like, why is this happening? And then the doctors just say, oh, it's stress. Oh, it could be cancer. Oh, it could be this. And then they say, oh, there's a mass. And then with further look, they actually find out that's not it at all. It's actually that they have a uterus. And so the doctors are convinced they never got a hysterectomy, but the women are like, but I haven't bled since I had it. And now I'm bleeding again.
That is weird. Well, I know last week Carol was talking about the UN thing, which is terrible, and so I haven't actually seen anything. We had talked about it. Oh,
So let's play this. Let's play the second part of the Black Rock because this ties back to a couple other things.
You're echoing. No sound.
I can't hear it.
You don't. There we go.
Yeah.
Why is it that you have not heard of them more? There is power in anonymity. If BlackRock is barely featured in
Can you start it over, John?
channels,
Okay.
it's because they want it to be so. If they want it,
BlackRock.
I do all the talking in the world, but here's the research more on who BlackRock is if you don't know.
Company and Larry Fink hold such power. Why is it that you have not heard of them more? There is power in anonymity. If BlackRock is barely featured in print publications and news channels, it is because they want it to be so. If they wanted, they could feature every day. BlackRock currently owns 18% of Fox, 16% of CBS, and 13% of Comcast, which in turn owns NBC, MSNBC, and Sky. If any of those companies wanted to make a decision, they would have to also consult with BlackRock before doing so. The same is true for Google, a tech giant currently worth $853 billion. Amazon, Facebook, and Twitter are also not exempt, and neither is Disney. Thanks to their incredibly diverse investment portfolio in media alone, BlackRock essentially owns 90% of the world's.
That's 90% of media. Matter of fact, let me know if you ever seen this video right here.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media.
The sharing of biased and
Okay, I'll play that one in a second.
Yep. So that's very clarifying because
Mm.
you know, if you notice the pattern, all these companies notice things that they do that's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Social engineering.
John, you're on mute again.
Until about 7 years ago, sorry. Until 7 years ago, I had never heard of BlackRock either. That's how good they are at keeping their name hidden. And some of the most powerful names in Europe that we never hear about, even today.
We heard of Blackwater, and it seems like they're probably related.
I wonder, are they related to Kofor Black?
Yeah, good question. I think it's kind of a term for oil, stuff from under the ground.
Black gold.
Sludge, The Blob. Remember the movie The Blob? That's one. Can you play the one about Rexall, please?
Okay. And then we'll come back to the one about this is a danger to our democracy.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I know Jenny Moore, she had made some kind of connection between BlackRock and Blackwater. I think if I remember it right, it was in one of George's books, probably the one about her, not sure which one. But yeah, a lot of what she was leading into definitely is where we've gone. So thanks to one of our angels.
Yeah, that's the mercenary army was Blackwater. Now it has a different name, but all the contractors, military contractors, all kinds of stuff that is tied into the interests of 90% of everything owned by BlackRock.
Amber, did you say the one about Sudan?
Rexall.
Oh,
Rexall.
Rexall.
I think it's interesting the way they treat compound drugstores and our old pharmacists that were far better than what we see today. And so you'll see like how they make them irrelevant, and yet they're the most relevant and amazing facilities when they're allowed to practice medicine along with the doctors that they work alongside at these compound pharmacies. And so it's a shame what they've done to our medical situation.
Yes, it is. And didn't they also have what we call here fraps, milkshakes? Sometimes these little drugstores, right? In the old days, they'd have
Yeah, the
milkshake.
malt. It was the
Malt.
malt. Yes. There was
Yeah.
something about it when your grandmother had to go and get like toilet paper, paper towels, and they were going to have a barbecue, and the kids got to pick out their favorite candy to share. And then, or she would say, you can either have candy to share or you can share a malt. And so half of us go on a malt, and the other one's like, no, I want candy. And she's like, figure it out or you get nothing. So then we had to like huddle and beg and say, I'll let you ride my bike. I'll let you do this. Can we have this? And then you're all sharing it. Can we get 4 straws? And yeah, so many memories.
Of it. Yeah, I never really thought about Rexall, but just that flashed into my head when you were saying that.
Yeah, we had a few of them. And then it turned that same color went to Eckerd Drugs. And then it became more of like a beauty place where it was more like for beauty products and, you know, over-the-counter meds and things like that. So Eckerd and Walgreens and those places turned from it being like a pharmacy with a little bitty like restaurant, not really food, but like, you know, malts and, you know, little specialty items for the kids. And there was like a waiting room while the parents talked to the pharmacist. And, you know, that still wasn't perfect. There was still over medicating happening. However, you knew your pharmacist. You knew everyone who worked there. They knew which kids were going to be loud. You know, they knew the names of the people coming in. And there was a comfortability and a neighborhood and friendly feel to the small drugstores that's gone now. And it's sad. It's very sad.
I think in the West Coast, those brands you mentioned weren't here. And there were individually owned. It's the same thing. It had the soda fountain and it had the, you know, birthday cards and it had the prescriptions and a few things. And it was kind of a hub. You'd go there after school on your way home from the bus stop.
They'd have
hang
what
out
is
a
it?
little bit.
Root beer floats, things like
Yeah,
that.
root beer floats.
Coke floats,
Right.
root beer floats, malts.
Yeah.
And then they would have like older music playing. So when I went like late 70s, early 80s, where all my memories were from it, they had like 50s and 60s bebop music and a little bit of disco every now and then. And it would be very quiet on the intercom over near where the, you know, the malts and the, you know, the root beer floats and stuff were.
Mm-hmm. And everyone had a family doctor that you'd been your whole life and brought you.
Yeah, it'd be like, did Dr. Green call in my prescription? Hang on, I don't see it. Let me give him a call. And knew Dr. Green's number, and Dr. Green's secretary go, oh, hey, Mr. So-and-so. Oh, yeah, we've got that right here. Tell her we said, hey, you know, and it was just like very normal. And I don't like this new normal. And I'm going to push back against it. Yeah. John, were you able to get it or no?
No, not right now.
So
Yeah.
Reverb.
RS cave, he says.
So I think we have new stuff going on in the studio today. So some little kinks going on here, but we're working it.
Yeah, and we've got 12 minutes, so we can all like take a turn to kind of give like a summary, and then we got to somehow figure out this video stuff so that we don't keep running into the same issue. So there needs to be a software
I think that's
upgrade.
what he's trying to do. He tried a different way of getting around the problems.
Maybe we could get
other problems.
Maybe we could get a professional to come in and do it. If
that's what I was going to say.
Problems.
We could get like a geek squad.
Yeah,
the geek squad, right? That sounds good. Make it work.
So what's our closing? Who wants to start, and what do you want to say?
Well, I'll just give a little update. We went on a little Osprey adventure early this week on Monday and drove up to Seattle and went to the Allen Brain Institute, and we had lunch with one of my heroes who's at the University of Washington, Gerald Pollack, and had great conversations, and that was really fun. And we also went to the Allen AI Institute. The Brain Institute would not let us in. They would, and they told us ahead of time they wouldn't. You know, they do research there that they say is not stuff they can do at the university, and they have no visitors unless you know one of the scientists, and you know, which we didn't know. But it was, you couldn't just walk in and walk around like we could at the university at Caltech in California. And the same thing is the case with the University of Washington. It's complete closed campus. All the doors are locked. You have to have the secret code to get in. But the Allen AI Institute, which had told us they have no visitors, you can't come, we finally found them. And the door was wide open. So we walked around and it was mostly empty. There was one person we saw. I took a lot of pictures of the things on the walls that were what they were proud about. Some of those things are like the AI that they use for education, the hospital stuff, the research for medicine with Semantic Scholar is all based on the Halo platform. And as you recall, that was a big Microsoft program long ago, single shooter, the first single shooter. It was, horrific graphics. I remember being just horrified by it with, little kids and grandkids and stuff doing things like that. It was, but they've used that program, and I saw some research a while ago about Microsoft was using the players to learn from, how they learn. Well, now what they've learned is putting into this education stuff, but they also were using how the gaming software could teach kids as well. They were doing research into that. So once they'd extracted how kids learn, then they teach them what they want them to learn. So this is part of what's going on in the Microsoft AI program. And it had all the funding. There was a library there with books, and they were written by Peter Thiel. And, it wasn't like a real library of books that people were checking out. It was a library of books that had been, cultural forensically written to teach people how to think like machines or something like that. I don't know. I haven't read any Peter Thiel books. I didn't know he was an author. But anyway, it was very interesting. And we had a lot of fun. That's why I saw my first Trump person coming back from that.
We're getting a lot of feedback from you.
Where's that coming from?
RRS Cave.
So, John, do you think, like, I want to end on something after Tara tells us what she gives us her closing. I wanted to see if the video the little girl says it's just something that I do to show like how important children are when they're in touch with just themselves and the strange things they come up with and say that just really can throw us back. If it's possible to play that, great. If not, well, then I'll just say something.
I'm going to try. Hold on for 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine, because Tara's going to talk as well.
Okay. Well, I'll just say that sometimes I, whatever we do to be like, oh, this is going to make me feel better. So there was this little thing, whether we're able to play it or not, doesn't matter. But there was this, I don't talk about a lot how much I love President Trump and Melania and just things like that. But yesterday was her birthday, and I had actually made this thing before her birthday, before I know. So the just reminder of that is to say, okay, if anybody's ever been to a semi-formal, well, semaphore is the language of flags. And when we've been at war, we're still at war, we know there's internal stuff, external stuff, but Melania and all her dresses were flags and were comms, and she's a flagpole. Okay, so I meant way more, the most beautiful flagpole, but so she wore this bright green dress at this one time some years back, and I believe that the comm was Because when you see Pepe out there, this frog doing stuff, those are the biblical frogs. Those are the frogs that says, God said, let my people go. If you don't, I will smite you with frogs. So when you see Pepe around doing stuff, that's what he's doing. And this particular clip of her in the dress where she just made a beautiful face and she was up on the thing and she turned and the look on her face was like, if you are in her sights, like if looks could kill, this is, a beautiful warrior. And so that was kind of my different thing to celebrate happy birthday Melania yesterday. And it was the second video that I sent, but I know our videos aren't doing good. I see that one.
Yeah, this is a dad, and he's talking about what his daughter did. So hopefully this video will work.
Okay. Yeah, it is good to focus on the kids, guys,
That's why we're all
Almost.
doing what we're doing.
Exactly. Because, that's why the good thing of epigenetics is that never mind what scumbags want to do, the heavens make us learn straight out of our DNA from what our ancestors already learned.
Absolutely. John, make sure you start it from the beginning because it won't make sense if you don't.
Yeah, it's a little scrambled.
Walks out of the room and goes in.
No, nothing.
Confusing and
Yep.
interesting. Like for.
Can you guys hear it? I can't.
Yeah, no, it's not working, John.
5-year-old had
Now it goes.
There it goes.
She says, hang on, I'm going to try and remember. She walks out of the room and goes into the next room. About 10 seconds later, she walks back into the room and she says, I'm going to try and remember, but I'm scared to do this alone. And then proceeds to do this.
Okay, she sits on the bed. Crisscross. Applesauce. I'm old, I can't quite do it right. Anyway, she sits on the bed like this. She holds up her hands like this, closes her eyes, and then takes one hand and starts going like this. And then she pauses and does this again, puts her head down, and then she stops, opens her eyes, and she says, I remember definitely seeing it, but I'm not sure where I put it.
We missed what she was looking for.
What was that? She said, oh, when I was doing this, rewind and going through all of my steps that I did. And this is my memories. Now I'm guessing, hoping she saw this on a show or something or whatever, but I asked her, I said, where did you see that? Or did someone teach you that technique? Something that you do? And all cutely, she just said, it's just something I do. Already.
Okay, I'll break it down. So they had a missing item. Her brother and her dad were like, oh, where is it? She had it last. They asked her and she said, oh, I don't know. Hang on. So she sits down. Now she's young. She's less than 5 years old. She crosses her legs. She puts her hands up like this. And then she starts doing one hand like this. And afterwards she stops me and goes, I don't remember where it is, but I do remember seeing it. And then the dad's like, what is that? And she said, well, this is me rewinding, like going through all my steps today. And this is my memories. And then he was like thinking she learned it somewhere. She said, no, it was just from me. It's just something I do. And so I thought it was interesting because if we really watch our kids, they do all kinds of really just different things that naturally occurs to them, that once we've gotten older, we've just acclimated ourselves to the world. So we don't think outside that box. And it might work for her. It might not work for thousands of people. But for her, that's her go-to. And she wouldn't do it unless it's worked before, which is why it's her thing and something that she does. So I think it's super interesting. Yeah. Because every kid does something that's a little different and something you never taught them that just naturally comes from them. And if you watch and you ask, they have the most interesting answers. And so this weekend, if you have kids around you, just kind of watch them. And if they do something that you're like, where'd they learn that? Ask them, because they are still innocent and they, are in touch with a part of themselves that as we get older, we just kind of acclimate to society, and that real thing inside of us we may have forgotten about. So I wanted to share that one so that we take time to, as we see a family walking in the park or groups of people together, we're watching their body language, their behavior, their patterns. And then we really take in how special we all are and how we were all made wonderfully and perfectly, and that we're all given at least 5 talents, and that to look for those things in people, and especially the people that you're really angry at. I'm not saying the ones that have instituted the chaos we're dealing with. I'm talking about regular people and their reactions. Look for what it is that makes them really special and try to connect to that, so that maybe then you can connect in a more spiritual way, where how we're all on the same wavelength with our videos without even talking, where you can do that with regular people who don't know how to verbalize what they're feeling, in order to get that love back in the community, so that then we can be there for one another while people are toying with our emotions and our sanity.
I just want to add that reminded me of an analog tape, the way that there's the 2 parts and then she's rewinding it. And of course, that's before her time.
Yeah, it was really wonderful, because being a yogi, I recognized kind of, I had never seen this though. That was a new one, and that was kind of great.
Well, it's a thing she does.
It is, and it works.
And
for
he
her.
said, the dad was like, she goes, it's just a thing I do. Really cute and really sweet. And he's like, whoa. Yeah. But it's so cool to ask your kids. And I found, if you have an older family member that's really way up in age and everyone's just enjoying every moment they have with them, they're in their late 90s or mid 90s, talk to them, because wow, the things that they say that are long forgotten and that just pop out because they're at peace with who they are, and they've grown into who they are. So they're more relaxed and they can tap into that energy that children have, that we in the middle just kind of muck up a little bit. We kind of muck up the trail.
Yeah, we're busy. We got so many things going on we're trying to do. It's hard to just let the space happen to listen, to spend time listening. That's where you get all that.
Yeah. So I think this weekend we should all try to listen and feel, when we go outside, feel the birds as we're listening to the birds, watch them as if we're flying beside them, really analyze them, try to get in the space of all those things around you, so that you can work cohesively with your environment, so that your environment can help you grow your garden, where you're all working symbiotically together and you're in touch with one another, because they'll see that comforting love that you're offering them. And it'll just come back to you, where the pollinators will work with you, the birds will work with you, just everything seems to, at night, the crickets will sound extra amazing, like they're actually playing an orchestra just for you. So there's so many things that, we just take that moment and we say, thank you for these gifts. Oh my gosh, look at the beauty of this bird. Look at the beauty of this tree. Look. And it's not goofy and it's not hippy dippy. It's actually what we were created to do, to be arbiters of this earth and to care and to take care of it. And in order to take care of something, you have to love it and you have to cherish it. So let's get back to cherishing and listening and getting in touch with everything so that we're not depleted. And so our energy is not gone, but we can actually harness that and be able to give more than we have been able to give these last couple of years, as it's taken all our energy just to find out who the culprits really are.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Great advice. Thank you.
At 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to play an addendum, the 18 TikToks that we didn't get to for the past 3 weeks.
At 5 or 6.
See you then.
Awesome. At 5 or 6.
Eastern. 6 Eastern.
Okay,
6.
got it.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye. Happy gardening.
Don't forget about McDuff on Monday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's Monday, the 1st.